Hey, welcome cryptopreneurs. Have you ever been stabbed in the back? You know, you can see there's a few gray hairs up here. That's why I cut it short so they're not as that visible as they used to be. But I can tell you I've been around the block a few times and I know how terrible and how depressing it is when you have a partner in a business and they just don't live up to what they promised, or that they turn around and stick the dagger right into your back and you feel that steel sliding through your flesh and you feel the blood flowing out your back. I've been there and I've seen this happen and I know it hurts. And as a cryptopreneur and as an entrepreneur, I also know how dangerous it is to not be in a venture with the right partners. But before I go any farther, and before we turn this into a crying festival of, oh, how terrible it is, and you know, you can't trust people, I'm going to turn it around and say, if you've had bad partners, if you've got bad partners right now, or you've got a problem, the blame is on you. It's your fault. Okay, and I'm going to say that because it's happened to me, and hey, there's some partners I'm still kind of pissed with in the past, and if they see this video, they know who I'm talking about, and they know what they did, and I'm not saying it was my fault what they did, but it was my fault for letting them do what they did to me. And the reason I say this is because with experience and when you start learning about partnerships, you realize that who's on the bus is always so much more important than where the bus is going. Okay? And you have to learn to craft expectations in a way that prevents that bad thing happening to you. So that means you need to vet your partners better in the beginning. Of course, that's important. That means you need to put into place very clear partnership agreements so that things are clear. You know, I've been in a lot of blockchain projects. I've worked with a lot of blockchain projects, and I've seen this problem come up time and time again. And you know what's worse is when it comes up after you've done the raise. Man, there is nothing worse than having raised a significant amount of money for a project and see it all go to waste because the founders pull out the knives and they start slashing themselves between themselves until things just fall apart. And this doesn't happen just in big projects, and you're probably thinking of a few you've seen in the newspapers, you've seen in the news sites. It happens in all sorts of projects, big ones, small ones, medium ones, and often it happens because the homework wasn't done ahead of time. Okay, don't do an ICO, don't do a raise until you have things clear with your partners. Okay, make sure that there's no doubt about who's going to be running the project after the money's raised, how it's going to be used, what are the processes that are going to be in place to make decisions about how that money is managed and who decides. You know, all of these things need to be carefully thought through before the problem becomes really a catastrophe. Okay, because in the worst case, you know, you'll have a problem when there's no money and you can stand up, leave the table, and the only thing you'll be losing is some time, some effort, and maybe you'll feel bad for a few days, and that's not great, but it's you know, you get over it. But after you've been through the process of building a project, of building a pitch deck, of talking to investors, about building a community, about getting people behind, you know, you've put your credibility on the line, you've got, you know, you're under the spotlights, people are waiting for you to deliver, and now you've got a big problem with your partners. And it's maybe money is not going where it should be, or you know, you've got to get lawyers involved. Now you've got to get all of these things are problems that are so much bigger later, and they kill projects. And I've seen projects crash and burn because of this. So that's why I'm talking to you about partners, about good partners, about making sure that you that you take care of things beforehand. And that's why there's a whole chapter in here in Behold the Cryptopreneurs that goes into detail, because this is an important problem. So definitely grab a copy of the book on Amazon if you want to get more detail about how to avoid these problems, how to set things up in the beginning so that you won't end up in this painful situation. Have you lived through something like this? Leave me some comments about that. Tell me about some great partners you've had or some really bad ones. Let's share some battle stories after this video. I'd really like to hear what you have to think. Hit the like button on this video, please. Give me some comments. I appreciate it a whole lot. And thanks again for listening in. See you next week.